Sandwalk is interesting in part because Lawrence A. Moran is an author of several textbooks and is older than your typical blogger. And part of the message is you can blog at any time of life. You don't have to assume that it's, oh, just for the young folk. So I wanted to make sure to highlight that. He chose his name. Sandwalk is the path behind Darwin's house, is the name of the path. And here is a screenshot from Sandwalk. And you see here he explains the path behind the home of Charles Darwin. You see a picture of the blogger. And he's got some incredible images in there. He's seeing the function of his blog in part to teach people, the general public, about basic scientific concepts that are important to understanding what scientists and researchers are doing now. So he's doing it as a form of public outreach in part. And he'll take the concept and then he'll explain why it's important or what's significant about it. More blogs from scientists and researchers, a range of them. Let's see, Science and Politics. There's a number on ethics and politics and science. An example of a neuroscience blog. Useful Chemistry I want to highlight because it's a joint blog of a faculty member and his students. Take a look at these. A screenshot from Sklin's neuroscience blog. Random samples of systems neuroscience, electrophysiology, neuromodulatory systems, etc. And the particular example I have up online is actually not her most recent one, but I picked it because it was on the topic of our boot camp presentation last week on how to use Google Reader and RSS to stay up to speed with your PubMed searches. I'm going, ooh! So that was my screenshot. Useful Chemistry. This one's, like I mentioned, it's from a faculty member and his teacher. He's also invited some other faculty members to sit in. So I recognize Beth Ritter-Guth is one of the names on here. She's not one of his students. She's actually in the English department. And I know her through some other ways. The blog entry here, he's talking about how blogs and wikis have been used to write academic theses and dissertations online interactively with rapid feedback from the community interested in the topic, thus fine-tuning the final product before it goes into its final print form. It's a very interesting concept, using blogs and wikis to generate new academic content. And in each of the examples he's mentioning, there's a single author who's responsible for the final output, which would be the master's or doctoral student. But people are also using them in similar ways for group collaborations to fine-tune final output or consensus document or statement or things like that. There are blogs about research. There's not as many of those. This one's from Nature. I mentioned that Nature is another one of the journals that has a series of their own blogs. This one is for peer reviewers about peer review. So it's about the publishing process in science. Again, I'm trying to illustrate the range of possibilities. And here is a blog as research. This person, Laura Blanken, her name is Blanken something or other, Blankenstein or something like that. She has a blog where she's blogging her thesis, but her thesis is about blogs and the blogosphere. Okay. So it's very circular, but it's a very creative concept. And it's on blogging as a teaching tool in writing classrooms, describing the sort of assignments and interactions that you, Chris, were talking about just before we started. Yeah. Special topics blogs. So just at this point, I'm just illustrating that there are blogs on a wide variety of cutting-edge topics that might be of interest to our community, not saying that you would necessarily want to go read on a regular basis every one of these. So here's a collection of blogs on genomics, and I have URLs for several of them there, highlighting Eye on DNA, how's it going to change your life? And the author of this is Xianxian Lei, who has been a blog author for a long time and is really very highly regarded in the blogging community and has worked to collect a lot of the information about genomics that is available in blog form. She kind of has this annual scoring or ranking of the genomics blogs. So she's a real resource, and if you were only going to follow one genomics blog, I would pay attention to whatever she's doing wherever she is. Proteomics, a few of those. I found the proteomics blogs, I think the people are so engaged with their research, they're not really writing that much. I couldn't find any that had a very current entry. So they seem to be a little not as productive or as current as some of the other blogs. Bioinformatics. Now, I'm just sort of like, would you think that there would be a blog on bioinformatics? But there's a lot of them, and proteomics, and where are these all coming from? So this one, Notes from the Biomass, there's several really, really excellent bioinformatics blogs. The reason I picked this screenshot is because it was a little more colorful than the others. I find the bioinformatics blogs, they don't spend a lot of energy on the look and feel of it, but they had this interesting entry about web design for research laboratories and the effectiveness of the web design to communicate the research goals of the research labs. So even though this maybe isn't a particularly bioinformatics entry, I thought it was interesting for those who have research labs to stop and think about how they're using the web to promote their own research in their community. Nanotechnology. A lot of the blogs on nanotechnology are tracking news and cutting edge, but there's also ones looking at public issues, the impact on the public, the politics of nanotechnology, both awareness and concern, outreach to educate the public, as well as addressing issues that have arisen from public concern. And Foresight Nanotech Institute is one of the leading groups in that area. Clinical and health. I don't want to apply that they're all cutting edge or high-tech topics. There's actually a huge number of health related, both from patients and from clinicians.